First reports of unauthorised corona parties, and now this. The Tory party of British Prime Minister Johnson has to pay a fine of €20,000. And the reason is an unannounced donation for the renovation of his official residence. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is coming under increasing political pressure. So, after reports of the unauthorised Christmas party in his official residence, Johnson's Tory party has to be fined more than €20,000 for an undeclared donation. This was announced by the British Electoral Commission, specifically about the renovation of Johnson's official apartment. This is reported to have cost up to £200,000. However, UK heads of government can only claim up to £30,000 in public money annually to renovate their official residence. Johnson had assured Parliament at the time that he had personally paid for the renovation. As it turned out afterwards, the renovation was financed indirectly by third parties. The money was first advanced by the government, later the Conservative Party paid the debt with a party donation, but without reporting this accordingly. According to the Election Commission, the company of a party-affiliated entrepreneur had received £67,801.72 in October last year, and only £15,000 of that was correctly declared. This brought the party the penalty of the Election Commission. Johnson had already had trouble explaining the matter a few months ago. However, an internal report had confirmed that he had acted imprudently but not violated the code of conduct for members of the government. For the Prime Minister, the fine for his party comes at the worst possible time. He has been criticized for more than a week for reports of parties held by government officials during the lockdown. According to media reports, they should have held a Christmas party in December 2020 in the middle of the corona lockdown. A video that became public on Wednesday confirmed the suspicion, and there are more news later in this video about that. The recording shows how Johnson's then spokeswoman Allegra Stratton apparently rehearsed with colleagues during a rehearsal for a press conference how she should react to questions about the rumoured celebration and mocked the corona restrictions. Oh boy. Johnson's office stuck to the statement that there was no Christmas party at the Prime Minister's residence. Well, not a single one? We'll see. The head of government announced an internal investigation. Experts expressed the fear that the scandal could reduce the willingness to comply with the COVID measures. In view of the new tightening, the Prime Minister is also being criticized for having recently sent mixed signals. Johnson recommended on Wednesday that people should work from home as much as possible, but when asked, he did not recommend that Christmas parties be cancelled. "We think it's okay to have Christmas parties as planned right now, but of course everyone should be careful," said Johnson. In Great Britain, there is currently concern above all because of the increased upcoming of the Omicron variant. Health Minister Javid said 568 cases have been confirmed so far, but the real number is probably closer to 10,000. The 7-day incidence in Great Britain was last at 495. Around 75% of people have been vaccinated once. Johnson's government had been criticised several times for its handling of corona restrictions. Health Secretary Matt Hancock was forced to resign in May after photos of him kissing an employee emerged. At that time, there were still contact restrictions in England. Johnson's then top advisor Dominic Cummings had previously caused a scandal with alleged violations of the conditions as well. In Downing Street, there should have been not just one, but 7 parties in the lockdown winter 2020. Prime Minister Johnson wants to have that checked, but another investigation makes it difficult for him to create some stories now. Boris Johnson was up all night, it said on Thursday morning, and for a good reason. Something more fun this time. His wife Kerry gave birth to their second child, a girl, in a London hospital. The British Prime Minister's spokesman announced that the baby and mother are doing well. So much for the good news for Boris Johnson. The bad ones started on Thursday with a topic that had recently almost been forgotten. As I said, a government committee released the investigation report into the renovation of Johnson's Downing Street apartment. which hit the headlines several months ago because a Tory party donor had paid for much of the cost. And now the committee, as I said, has found that the money has not been correctly declared. And so the Conservative Party was fined. But something else is far, far more uncomfortable for Johnson. Investigators found that the Prime Minister had sent a WhatsApp message to the donor, a multimillionaire named Lord Brownlow. In it, he asked Brownlow for help with the renovation several months before he said in an interview that he hadn't known about any of this. It was unclear on Thursday whether this would have consequences for Johnson, especially since this process is in turn overshadowed by this other thing that the British media have now given a name: Partygate. For days there has been talk in political London about the supposed parties in Downing Street in December 2020 while the country was in lockdown. So far, the focus has been on a party on December 18th. It must have been 40 or 50 people. It was really bad, the Financial Times quoted a Downing Street employee as saying. Johnson had denied the allegations several times before apologizing on Wednesday that he was misinformed and announcing an investigation. In a lower house debate on Thursday, the government announced that the cabinet secretary charged with the investigation would also look into 2 other alleged meetings. However, the British media reported on Thursday that in the last few weeks of last year, there was not only the party on December 18th in Downing Street, not a total of 3 parties, but, as I said before, 7. However, it's unclear whether these were irregular gatherings. On at least one occasion, Johnson is reported to have been present and given a speech. In the midst of this situation, the British Prime Minister announced further measures to contain the coronavirus on Wednesday evening. Its spread is currently being accelerated by the Omicron variant, and the measures are rather harmless from a non-British perspective. In closed rooms, the mask requirement applies again. Everyone should work at home again if possible. A vaccination certificate is required for larger events and nightclubs. The MPs, including those of the Tories, criticised Johnson's announcement harshly. Hadn't his deputy emphasised the day before that there would be no new measures until next week? That was before Partygate got its name. By the way, as I said, Boris Johnson and his wife, Kerry Johnson, have become parents together for the second time. I didn't just want to flush over that. It's a girl, and that is now reported by the British newspaper Daily Mail. Accordingly, the Prime Minister's wife gave birth in a hospital in central London. It is the 7th child for Boris Johnson. He has 4 children with his second wife, Marina Wheeler, with whom he was married from 1993 to 2020. A child is also said to have emerged from an affair. The news of the child's birth reached Johnson during a very stressful time at work. Because of the ongoing corona pandemic and the dangerous Omicron variant, the politician called for Plan B in Great Britain. This includes stricter rules to contain the pandemic. You can also find that in a video I published yesterday. Boris Johnson can certainly bring joy to his offspring. The Prime Minister and Ms Johnson are pleased to announce the birth of a healthy girl in a London hospital today, said his spokesman. Mother and daughter are doing very well. Well, before his marriage to Kerry Johnson, Boris Johnson was married twice. From 87 to 93, he was married to Allegra Mostyn Owen. He married the mother of his 4 children in the year he separated from his first wife. Marriage number 3 followed marriage number 2 almost seamlessly. He has been married to Kerry Johnson since 2021. The first child together, Wilfred Glory Nicholas Johnson, was born in 2020 and is now 1 year old. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.